Today I'd like to walk you through how to make a rice pilaf. So you may wonder, what's a pilaf? Well, pilaf means a dish where a grain, usually rice, is either dry toasted in a saute pan or it's sauteed in a little bit of fat. Then it's cooked with a hot liquid, and that liquid is typically either some type of a stock or it can be water flavored with herbs and seasonings. It's a very, very versatile dish, and the result is a really nice, fluffy, tender rice that doesn't stick together. It's a really good dish for you to understand how to make because there are all kinds of variations you can do once you understand how to make rice pilaf. So let's get to cooking. You want to use a long grain rice to make rice pilaf, and long grain rice needs to be rinsed. Pour the rice into a bowl, agitate it with your hands with some water in there, and you'll see the starch to start to come off in the bowl. Dump that water and continue to do that. It usually takes 2 or 3 times until the water is clear. That's how you know that you've rinsed off all that excess starch on the rice, and that'll help it cook up and not stick together, which is what you want for a pilaf. I would recommend using basmati rice. Basmati rice is very aromatic, and after you rinse it, you actually need to soak it for about 20 or 30 minutes. But I promise you, the extra time of soaking is worth it with this rice because it produces a really great result, and it's wonderful for pilaf. Now let's dice up some yellow onion to about a 1/2 inch dice. And I'm melting some butter in a saute pan for these onions. So you can see my onions are nice and translucent. I even got a little bit of color going on. And that's the sugars in the onions starting to caramelize, which is going to add a nice rich flavor to our dish. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my rice. And I'm going to cook this and let that rice toast a little bit in the pan. It's important that you stir frequently in this step so you get a nice even cook on your rice. I'm also going to go ahead and add my fresh thyme. I want to let that cook with that oil and that butter to release some of that flavor from the thyme. I can smell that basmati rice toasting. The aroma is wonderful. Now I'm going to add my liquid. So for long grain rices, I like to go somewhere between 1.3 to 1.4 parts water per rice. So this is 2 cups of rice. So you think 1.5 would be 3 cups. So I went just a little shy of 3 cups with my chicken stock. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in now. Gonna add 2 bay leaves. Give it a good stir. I'm going to bring my heat up and bring this to a boil. Once this starts boiling, I'm going to lower that heat and cover with a tight-fitting lid. So what I'm making today is a simple, basic rice pilaf. So that's onions, chicken stock, thyme, and bay leaves. Now you could certainly add more ingredients to this. You can add some diced celery, carrots would be great, mushrooms, tomatoes. You can add different herbs. And a lot of times pilafs are made with protein. You could add some chicken or some seafood to this as well. Once you understand the basic rice pilaf, then you can improvise with all kinds of other ingredients moving forward. Now you can see I'm starting to come to a boil, which is great. Now cover with a tight-fitting lid and turn the heat down to a low simmer. Now you can see my pilaf simmering. You probably can't hear it on the video, but what I like to do is lean in and you can kind of hear a nice bubbling sound. And a really good way to know when rice is done is to learn how to tell from the sound. You're not always going to have this clear lid, and this helps a lot because you can kind of see when the rice starts to separate and you see little pockets where the steam is coming through and the water's evaporated, and that's a good way to tell when it's done. But really the best way to tell is by the sound. When it goes from bubbling to where you don't hear that bubbling anymore, that means that water is mostly absorbed. So now what you don't want to do is you don't want to take the lid off now, right? The rice needs to continue to cook, needs to cool a little bit. Those starches are going to continue to cook. It's called gelatinization, and that's an important process. You don't want to stop now, right? So I'm going to turn the heat off and just let that sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. The rice will stay hot. You can leave rice covered on the stove for about 2 or 3 hours. It will be fine. It'll stay nice and hot, but I'm going to let that sit for 15 minutes so it can finish cooking. Now I'm going to remove the lid, fluff with a fork, remove my bay leaves and thyme. Now I put my thyme in whole, mainly just because I'm lazy, so I'm gonna try to pull those stems out where I see them. Get those out of there. You know, the leaves will cook in, that's fine. Add a pinch of salt, pinch of black pepper, and a pat of butter. And here's our pilaf, ready to serve. You can see those grains of rice are nice and separated. That's gonna be delicious. That's wonderful. I hope that video was helpful. If you'd like the recipe, it's at lineageculinary.com. Please check out our webpage. Let us know what you think of the video and let us know what kind of information you'd like to help you become a better cook. Thanks.